And we had some people that came and joined us on our first service. My mother-in-law was there, and some more people, and my father-in-law, and I was very grateful for them, and they sold into the ministry, and the Lord blessed. Now, in the 5 years, yes, we've had some challenges, some ups and downs. So we was in the negative sometimes, but we still yet standing. 5 years later, we still yet standing. To God be the glory. And we're 6 years in marriage now.
But I'm sure that helped. You all had to really be close. I mean, you're talking about newly married, still in the honeymoon stages, and then starting a pioneering a ministry, which is much different from
I'm about to say, talk about
being
that.
hired at a church.
Yes.
Because there's certain things that come with the church that you're hired with, like a budget. But you're pioneering the church, so now you and your wife have to put together budgets, how to structure and things of that nature, as well as still learning each other.
Yes.
And how was
And
that?
then my wife had the audacity to want to get pregnant.
Well, she could do it by herself.
Thank you so much. They said it in unison. You sound like a choir.
I'd have been like, let's talk. No kids for this till we get this thing off the ground.
We said 5 years.
We had a 5-year plan.
See, that plan didn't
And
work.
what happened was,
Anybody tell y'all been there like 2 monkeys
They
in
got
the
2 babies.
Two
Yes.
babies, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old.
I had the nerve to get pregnant while I was Nathan was 6 months.
Good.
So what happened was, Bishop, if we didn't have no members, we was gonna make some members.
You got your praise leader, your praise leader, your musician, your usher. You was determined about that thing.
Yes, sir. We're gonna make some members. But we don't shut down now. Amen. Amen.
But it was very difficult because dealing with our own personal challenges and then having to couple that with making sure that you put on the right face when you in front of the people,
Right.
and and sometimes we didn't
Especially when we
always
just
get
had heated fellowship.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how the enemy moved in a way that he would make arguments start Sunday morning.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it was like clockwork. I knew I was gonna come to church heated. I was just like, I'm just gonna go ahead and get
I
delivered
was so
now.
grateful to God we had 2 cars. Because there were some Sundays I literally had to drive by myself. Because getting to Williamsburg, we probably would not have made it. Never would have made it.
I'm being real.
real.
That is so real because see,
Even with the windows down, the air conditioner on, it was still hot in that car.
but that is so real, and you are helping a lot of people because one, you said you got married a year prior to starting your church. You all have not really known each other. You know, y'all are just still learning one another. You know, and that in itself is a job.
Yes.
But and the interesting thing about that is when Torrance approached me, to go out on a date with him, the first thing that kind of went off in my mind, I'm like, he a minister? I don't want to go out with no minister. He want to talk about Jesus all the time. I got time for that. So, but the more I got...
He do look holy.
Can't have a decent conversation. All you want to do is talk about Jesus. Jesus, John, and Moses.
Look, and bowing at people's feet. So, I was really like, oh, do I really want to do this? And
I broke her down, Doc. I went too hard. I shot down. I whispered something to her.
You know what I love about God is that we always say that God will give you the desires of your heart, but we always say that neither of us are each other's type. But the interesting thing about that is if we who say that we have a type really had a type, we would be with that type and would be happy. So obviously it's not that God gives us the desires of our heart. He actually gives us what to desire. And so he actually changes what we should desire.
I told you to see the past.
He actually changes.
I meet Jesus. Holier than thou.
She can
with these ladies.
Yeah, wear them dresses to the floor, the darling on her head.
She did. No, she didn't do that.
Yes, sir, Doc.
She did the same thing.
Wait a minute.
She went to school, came to school.
These lying pastors.
She came to school with the church dress on, the briefcase, and Bible with the sanctified hat cocked to the side. Had her to have a fur on in school. We in homeroom. She got a church fur. A church fur. How you have a church fur?
A stole.
He mad because we came from money.
And he didn't have nothing.
He had no fur. He had them twins, Polly and Esther.
Oh, we going in tonight, y'all. Monopoly money. Y'all is crazy up in here.
But really, God just changed your mind. No, because I think I think this could help somebody. God, because a lot of women get stuck in, he gotta have this and he gotta have that and he gotta be this tall and and God will send you something completely opposite and you have to move with the plan of God for your life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until and it was
These women looking like, no.
Let me tell you something.
they got a checklist, right?
She wanted this nice slim man, with a six-pack. I had a case. Come on, man. She had to take the case,
You had a case of Dunlaps.
Yeah.
Belly Dunlap and belly.
So she had to work with that, take that. And she wanted this nice guy, muscles and stuff. I didn't have all that. But every time she needed to be picked up, I picked her up. That's what I think.
Won't he do it?
Okay. Put in your pastor mode. Go.
But so God He just changed that for me, and I got to see Him. God we weren't even. He didn't even approach me yet, and I was like, Thomas look kind of nice, And it was like, and so slowly, but I didn't know if I was ready to
date the preacher.
And having come out of a difficult relationship, I was just happy being by myself. And so the interesting thing is I'm also an opportunist when it comes to food. So when he asked me to go out on a date, it was the end of April. I was like, my birthday coming up in I was like, I got a birthday date. He gonna take me out to eat.
She was using me. She was using me for a date.
It was so interesting.
She was invested. I'm paying.
I'm investing my time. So, our first date, he took me to the melting pot. I'd never been there before.
And I promised I wasn't gonna be the preacher.
And yeah, he did have to promise me that.
I'm not
He was like,
Demetrius,
Demetrius, this is Torrance. This is Torrance.
You don't have to call me Reverend Curry at the table.
It's not Reverend Curry. So,
It just sounds.
I know, like,
But she had a hard time to say Torrance though, because I
used to call him Curry.
Yeah,
so
they
I would
call him Curry, Reverend Curry. So it was just so used to. She was like, Torrance. Torrance.
It was weird because he was a minister in my church.
I'm like, yeah, that's who I am, Torrance. And I told her that. I said, before I became the preacher, I was Torrance. That's right. My mama birthed Torrance. She didn't birth Reverend Curry. That's just a title that came. Geese and had benefits.
But I really enjoyed that date. We just sat and we talked and we actually closed the restaurant down.
At the melting pot.
They were wiping tables around us.
Hold on. At the melting pot, they got that little chocolate stuff you dip inside that thing there.
They put us down on Lover's Lane. The little dark side.
Yeah.
Told you I wasn't a pastor that night.
Lord, and you got that chocolate going too?
Yes, sir.
Lord,
but did you know that night I'm gonna marry this man?
No.
Okay.
She said that.
No. We continued.
She already said that was a food opportunity.
Yeah, that was an opportunist.
But it seems like that's how God does, because we could not stand each other.
Really?
She didn't like me, and I didn't like her. Because she had on her church outfit in school. I could never understand that. How you come to school with a church outfit
Well,
on?
what I don't understand is how your parents pull up in a 15-passenger van and all your brothers and sisters
That is money. That was money.
Y'all go to church. Y'all had a church van out in front.
Y'all singing group?
Actually, we was.
The quartet group.
There were 100 singers.
Yeah, it was 100 singers. It was 11 of us. You know, I got 11 brothers and sisters. You know,
was
so
crazy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something about that 15-passenger van. That was commerce. That 15-passenger van made money. Now, Apostle talking about she come from money, but I'm talking about we making money. It's a difference.
Yeah, you're right.
I always been one. I kept a job. I kept a business. I kept money inside my pocket. She talked about me, but honey, she married me this.
Yeah. She saw the opportunity.
It was an investment.
She really was. The problem was she was jealous. But see, we ain't gonna talk about that joke that she was dating. He was
Back to you all.
No, she started it. Let's go and walk on in there.
Busted and disgusted.
And was a fire starter. He was a major.
Not that one.
He was
Not
an
that
arsonist.
Not that one.
The dude burned down Diggs Park.
It was Foundation Park.
It was one of them parks. The dude lit up Foundation Park. I'm trying to tell you. Lit that joker up. You turn everything on fire. The lady came out, no, get your kids, get your mama, they got the pockets on fire.
And if you've been watching the show, you already know that girl he was dating had an Adam's apple. This don't make no sense.
It was a sexy Adam's apple.
All right.
Have you ever had the experience to just feel an Adam's apple?
I hope not. No.
Nah, she didn't have no Adam's apple. Apostle was just mad because I was dating the girl and I wasn't dating her.
That's what it was.
That's all it was.
I thought he could do better. I thought he could do better.
I like the way you put that, Apostle. He could do that.
Really, they were his brothers, just nice guys. I didn't understand that.
But you just didn't like him.
No, she didn't like the girl I was dating.
I didn't like you either.
I didn't like you either.
I know.
Well, we established that fact.
Yeah, but it's amazing. We started dating. He was directing. No, playing for the choir. I was directing. And then we went bowling, and then we just started dating. And 6 months later.
No, see what it was.
No.
It was just sex. It was just sex chocolate. It was. No, this ain't no lie, honey. I'm trying to tell you. No, I'm gonna tell you
I could pick him up.
Yeah, she could.
He was
She
small.
could. Yeah, if I was small, she was big, right? She's run track. Did you run track in this race?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
That was the other one. The Adam's apple. Get it twisted.
Well, we cut up the same, buddy.
She did run. But anyway. Okay. So you didn't know at that time. We just like to keep it fun.
You already know it.
No. It was actually, we went to a service together. We were dating. And the man of God, he was in the middle of ministering to somebody else. And he said to Torrance, you want to tell the story?
He put me on blast.
He put him on
Put you on
blast.
blast.
He stopped ministering to the guy.
We have been
Stop
dating.
prophesying.
We have been
and went
dating a
straight to
while.
Torrance.
A while. I asked her out in April.
I was just having fun.
April. I asked her out in April. But and as much as I love to talk and can talk, I just got nervous. So I called her mom's house. And I had her mom's number because we was all on the same praise team. So it was just, I called her mom's house and she answered the phone. I said, Demetrius, could you give me your email address? So I sent her an email and invited her out. I said, because if she tell me no on the email, it's all right. I got my email. And so she said,
Don't you tell nobody else.
He done told 51 countries. It is over.
And guess what? It worked. It worked. Email does work. 6 years later, it's still working. So I asked her out, and she said, she said, sure. So I said, shit, all right. I said, so give me your number now. So that's when the number came. So, but we was dating a while, and so Pastor, the apostle came, and he said, in the middle of ministry, he said, man, you got to stand up. I stood up. I thought he had a word for me. He said,
me too.
what are you waiting on? And I looked at him, I said, excuse me. He said, what are you waiting on? He said, you've been thinking about it. If that's the one for you, marry the girl. Stop playing with it. And I said, but before he said that, he said, do I need to take you in the back and tell you what the Lord said? I said, no, so you can tell me now. He said, what you waiting on? If this is the one and you're contemplating, he said, you've been thinking about it, right? He said, you've been looking at rings, right? I said, yeah, you all in my business.
I was like,
And so he said, do it. So I said, okay. And so he said, now, raise your hand, let's pray. So he prayed. And so maybe a couple months after that, one Friday night, I popped the question. And I said, now, Lord, this woman tell me no. Something gonna give in here tonight. So I threw this big party. One of my friends, they had a party at their house, and we did this nice big box, and we put some gifts in the box, and my wife loved chocolate. And so we covered the bottom of the box in chocolate. And so she kept digging. She said, oh my God, all this candy. I'm like, stop digging for that candy and find that ring in the bottom of the box. But I know I put it in there. And so she kept digging, and so she said, oh, a piece of jewelry. And so she opened it up. She said, oh. I said, now, I ain't get down on one knee. I just stood up and said, hey, I said, hey, will you marry me? She said, and I'm sitting there like, this better be a yes reply. So she says,
I'm weak.
I ain't said,
She said, yes. And I said, oh, Lord. Then I said, I ain't asked her mom and daddy yet. I said, now I got to figure out how I'm going to ease this in. And said, can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? So I'm supposed to do that first. Yeah. But I got caught up. It was getting good. So I need to go ahead, and the preacher already told me I need to do this thing. I'm like, Lord, I need to do it. Do it. So we did it. But honestly, when we first started dating, I did not know. I had come out of a relationship myself, so I was just looking for, just going out, hanging out, and I knew, she was in church, we had some things in common, both loved music and things, yada, 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 and just one thing led from there, and here we are 6 years later. Still got the honey on the moon.
Yes.
It definitely took God to talk to us, and really, it really took God.
Because her grandmama said, Demetrius, I've been praying, I think he's not. She said, we need to pray for something together.
Yeah, I said, look, my grandma said, she's in the audience. Hi, Grandma. She said, you and Reverend, she had the nerve to say Reverend, you and Reverend Curry having a good time together. I said, yeah, we are. She said, I prayed that God would send you someone who, is a saved man. I said, Grandma, I need for you to pray for something we gonna agree on. That wasn't what I was praying for. So,
but it's been a lot of God. I will say that.
Amen.
A lot of God.
Amen. And I think with some marriages it's like that. Like a lot of people say, we compliment each other, but sincerely we know God put us together because it wasn't something that we initially would have done ourselves.
Yeah.
And when God does it, it just makes it smooth.
Yes.
You can laugh, you can have a good time, you're each other's best friend. And when you talk about that component of adding ministry to that, that's so important.
Yes.
So, okay, you all get married and now you're starting ministry. What was the trials of that? Because you all are trying to learn each other. Not only that, you have members coming in that you're trying to learn. Mm-hmm. You all don't even know each other yet. Right. And folks will play you.
Right.
And then all that, the women and the men, Yeah. I'm sure y'all had women and men trying to, you got that bald head. They like that bald head.
I had hair then.
You had hair?
Yeah, I had a little hair then.
What kind of hair you had? You had a cameo, flat top. What you had? The gumbo. What you had?
I had a little fro like yours, Bishop.
Okay.
And but what happened was, see what happened?
He got a hole in his natural.
I started receding right here. hair just started going to the back. So
That's because you were brushing it too hard, baby.
and look, I was freaking out, panicking, and me and don't y'all try this, but it worked for me. I went to the dermatologist and started giving me some injections,
Yeah.
and the hair was growing back.
Don't tell nobody else.
That I was doing it. I was doing it.
Keep being transparent.
That's right. I was getting them injections. Then I said, you know what? These things cost too much. Let's let me go bald. So I went bald, and the woman said, it wasn't my wife. My wife said, you like my daddy. Because her dad has a bald. She like, you like my dad. I said, you like your mama. And so the woman,
I'm like, keep it real.
yeah, I said, you like your mama. And so she said, and so one of the ladies said, I like that on you, Reverend Christ. I said, thank you. I said, that's all I need right there. No, but let me stop. But it just helped, and it's easier. It's easier. So you can't tell that I was receiving, you know. But when it come back, you be like, Pastor, you go cut that.
Hey, did you ever use that Beijing?
No, I ain't trying none of that.
They said you got to be careful with that Beijing, you know, especially when you start sweating, you know, because
It runs out. It runs out.
You don't even know what Beijing is.
That's the black line.
Yeah, black line.
Yeah, you put it
That's
inside the
supposed to
hand,
be.
you know. Yeah.
But I will say it was very challenging, very challenging. And you said it right. We had members, and that we was trying to know and get to learn, and then we was trying to learn one another. I was spending away from home, and she was at home because I was trying to do things in ministry. So when I tell you we had a lot of heated fellowship, it was a lot because I could not balance work. I was trying to work a full-time job, ministry, a wife, home, responsibilities, and it was just like, you know, let me tell you something. When my wife came home one day, she said, Apostle Hunter sent me a message. I said, oh, okay. She said, but she wants to be on her show. Her show? I said, the TV show that she got? She said, what you think? I said, I don't know about that. So then she said, come on. And then she was like, well, I said, yeah, let's do it. She said, you're not nervous? I said, well, they want us to be real, to help people with their marriage. I said, we're gonna do it. I said, because we have had some challenges ourselves.
We are the epitome of grace.
Yes, you know, yes.
And that's what God has called us to be transparent, so that we can help others, safeguard. Also, people know that we're keeping it real.
Right.
It does no good to be pompous and flawed
That's right.
and all these things, and not let people know exactly what you went through and how you overcame it.
Right.
And that's what ministry is all about. And people will respect you and love you. People gonna love the show, because people like honesty.
That's
You don't
right.
have people that are touching.
That's right.
And now that you were telling them how ministry shall not destroy their marriage.
The challenge that we had, you know, trying to balance everything, you know, and one thing that I fell in, that I was very lacked in, was communication with my wife, you know, because I was trying to do everything that was in my schedule, that was in my calendar, and not including her and telling her, you know, I'm going over here, I'm doing this, and it'll be this time when I get home, and I'm doing this, and then so she's sitting at home or she's blowing up my phone saying, where are you? And I'm getting frustrated because she's calling me, asking me where am I? I'm like, wait a minute, you asking me where am I? Well, hold up, you know. And so that was a challenge for us, you know, and then so trying to balance all of that, and it was a lot. So I will honestly say the first year of ministry and the first going into our second year of marriages was one of our roughest states. I mean, it was very challenging. I mean, you know, it was got to a point where, you know, sometimes, you know, we just in the house wasn't talking but yet and still we're still trying to do ministry and keeping the face on and keeping it before the people, and the people not knowing that, oh, you know, their home is jacked up. But, you know, but they're still preaching, and they're still meeting the needs of the people, and they're still helping everybody, and they're still doing everything.
And you can do that.
And you can do it.
Because you're gifted to do it.
Yeah. And then my wife's like, and she had those moments, I don't understand how you can do that. Just wear that face and then come home and deal with me like, And so my wife had got to the point where she felt like she was playing second. She was second and not first. And I kept trying to tell her, no. She's like, no, you're letting the ministry come before us, come before me. And then I, in stepping back in hindsight and looking at it, I was because I was trying to get the ministry to grow, get the ministry to thrive, and was lacking at home. And don't get me wrong, as far as, the sexual needs, that was still getting met, but my wife was looking at more the emotional, the communication, and all that stuff. And I'm like,
TIME.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm paying the bills. The bills are getting paid. And we're getting the money, and we're sleeping together. But she's like, that's not it.
Yeah.
And I was struggling with trying to balance that and trying to make it all fit, and then still try to do ministry.
And I think one of Torrance's gifts became sort of a hindrance for him, and you have to be careful in that in ministry. One thing I used to tell him, especially when we were first starting out, I was like, you spending way too much time with the people. Like, you in their house and taking off your shoes every other Sunday, and because it comes to a point where they don't see you. They no longer, especially when they're older members, they don't see you as pastor no more. You one of their kids now, and so it's hard for them to actually be obedient to you, and it's hard for them to actually see you as pastor if you are spending a lot of time with them, and they get too comfortable and too familiar with you. And so that was one thing I was trying to tell him, but it's his gift. But it was just, to be interpersonal. But it was that gift that was becoming a hindrance to him.
And had I listened to her, and one thing, like you said earlier, it had to be God that put you together because you wouldn't have did it. Same thing with us. Because had I listened to my wife in that, I wouldn't have lost some of the people that we lost.
Understood.
Yeah.
Because what happened was, the moment I tried to use pastoral authority, they bucked.
Yeah.
And the more they bucked, the more I put down my foot. And then they couldn't distinguish the pastor from the friend. So had I listened to my wife, had I listened to her, and now I'm at the place that I do not, and I love all my members, but I do not get that close with them ever again. Because the moment I use the authority that God has given me and placed in me, I need them to receive.
We would like to thank you for viewing this week's airing of Ministry Shall Not Destroy My Marriage. In order to purchase your book, visit our website today at www.gatministries.com. We also challenge all of our viewers to make a donation today to Thai TV as they continue to spread the gospel across the nation. We would also like to welcome you to listen to the Ministry Shall Not Destroy My Marriage radio show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. at www.thevoiceradio.com.